super honored to be here. This is a place I never thought that I would be. And then my friends show up and talk to me. So who's heard me speak before I just start talking and using the same jokes? Okay. Same jokes good though? On the Zooms. Okay. All right. I'm passionate about many things. Can you all still hear me? Okay. I'm passionate about many things, but one of the most important things that I'm passionate about is Young Living, and more specifically, helping people learn how simple and easy it is, and staying away from that, to help their friends, their family, the random people that they meet on the street, anybody that they meet, say yes to Young Living. That's what I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about helping you to see, just like I said, how simple and easy this can be. So one of my favorites, okay. It's okay. Just stand in the middle and whittle. Okay. One of my favorite stories is, I have many enrollment stories. One of my favorites is one of the Uber drivers I enrolled when I was in 2015 at the Young Living Convention. And this one was in Texas. Were you there? Yes, the one in Dallas. And I've been talking with this guy, and as we drove, and I've been asking him questions, and he'd been telling me his life story. And that's the truth. You can meet people and get them to tell you their life story. Everybody? No. But it doesn't have to be everybody. And as we were rounding the corner up towards the convention, I thought to myself, well, now or never. And so I decided to close it. And so I said, I believe the chemicals in this world are causing more harm than good. And I believe that if you eat right, that nutrition can play an incredible role in doing all of the things that you can't do at the corner store. I'm trying to be so compliant that you can't do at the corner store. And I believe that if the tree in the garden turns brown, you don't paint the leaves green and tack them back up. You do something to help the trees. And he let go of his wheel, and he said, like a Mississippi preacher, he put his hands in the air and he said, I believe. Actually, I said, if you believe what I believe, you belong on my team. And he said, I believe. And that's how I enrolled my first Uber driver. And what I'm here to tell you is that people everywhere need you. They need you. They need Young Living. So do we accept that you are constantly meeting people? Do we accept that? Because somebody just said to me, Borre, where do I meet people? Well, you meet people everywhere. I mean, if you just look around, how many people are in a hotel that need Young Living? How many people if you go on a cruise? How many people at the park need Young Living? Everybody. I have enrolled people I had a car accident with. And if I can do it, so can you. And that's really the truth. It really is the truth. The difference is nothing but skill set and awareness. So I believe okay, let me tell you. I used to be a trainer and a consultant. Before I had 6 kids, lived on a farm, homeschooling, renovating 2 houses. Before that, I was a trainer and a consultant, and I traveled the world teaching, well, in the U.S., Fortune 50 companies and all around the world, sales and marketing and customer service. And I can tell you that this is learnable. This is something that absolutely everybody can do. And you can do it without being that person. You don't have to be that icky person. So I believe that there is a bell curve. Everybody familiar with the bell curve?
Yes.
Okay, back in high school, math class. So there are the people over here, 3 standard deviations, I think it is. They think that double-blind placebo studies should be done on lavender before it should be allowed to be sold. You're laughing, right? You know these people, right? And they just can't understand why you can sell it in Walmart and it can be, because it could be so much danger. It's really, you got to be really careful with this stuff, right? These are the people over here. And you know what they really believe, though? They really believe that bleach is their friend. They really believe that all of the chemicals are just amazing and that the body cannot take care of itself, and it's not, right? So that's what they believe. Then you've got the people over here. You love it when you meet them. Have you ever met somebody who said to you, oh yeah, I've been looking into essential oils. I've been looking for just the right company. These people, they've been pinning things, right? They've been Googling. And all you got to do is walk them into a starter set, right? In here, you have everybody else. Do you accept that this is an enormous amount of people? And that they are absolutely everywhere. So this is how you work Young Living into your everyday life. You just meet people. Like, are you going to the post office? Talk to the post office people. I've signed up my post office lady. Why aren't all the post office? Why doesn't the mail smell like Valor yet? Right? Are you going to the park? You pick up somebody at the park. You meet new friends. Right? So the point of this bell curve is that you want to move people along the bell curve. But how many of us are spending our time beating our heads against the wall at these people? How many people are related to these people? You've tried, haven't you? You've tried. You're like, I know what I'll do. I'm going to get my mother and my sister. But your mother and your sister say that you're cray-cray. But then some random person thinks that you know everything. Right. Yeah. That's the, what do they call that? The prophet in his own town. But what happens is we spend all of our time beating our heads against the wall with these people. And we can't figure out why we're the only ones getting bloody and they're not enrolling. That's not what we want to do. We want to move people along that bell curve until we get them over here. Yeah. So how do we do that? Well, it's in the book. Here's one thing. I think somebody said to me, Lori, I don't think people are sharing. And I said, no, you're wrong. People are sharing. Like if you're at church and somebody says, oh, what happens? 15 women reach into their purse and whip out, and they commence the anointing. See, we are sharing. We're just not closing. We just don't know what to do with that. We don't know how to march people along this bell curve. And I'll tell you another thing. And what does that, by the way? Time and skill set. Some people just need time, but also your skill set of knowing what to say, and more importantly, what to ask. And I want to come back to ask aggressive, so if you will remind me if I get too far down this rabbit trail to come back to ask aggressive. Okay? The other piece of the puzzle that's going on is that some of us have a bell curve that is this big because we've been sitting in our homes. We've not been talking with people. We might have just moved to a new area. We're not big on social media. We haven't been building that. Let me just say for a moment, the people who build on social media make it look easy. But it's not. They have spent years and years honing that craft and carefully creating a bell curve this big. So what happens when somebody who isn't involved in any community organizations, doesn't have kids at home anymore that they can go out and with the park and meet people, never goes anywhere, isn't on social media, and has a super tight inner circle of 3 people? It's their bell curve, right? Then they try to compare themselves with somebody who has spent 15 years building 1 million followers, and their bell curve is this big. So let's talk about those bell curves. If you go on social media and say, hey, my house smells so pretty because I started cleaning with bees. So with the bell curve, who are you going to pick up? These people over here, right? Bless them. So if you have 10 followers on social media and you go out and do that, you might get somebody. But it's not fair to compare yourself to the person who has 1 million followers. Who are they going to get when they do that? Are they going to pick up the people over here? No. But they're going to pick up 100 people over here. And then we compare ourselves. Listen, I don't know how you feel about the scriptures, but I like them. And one of my favorite verses is, and they compare themselves among themselves, and in doing so, anybody know the rest? Are not wise. So, they're picking up these people, God bless them. There's only one way, well, there are two ways to get the rest of them. Either you grow your bell curve or you increase your skill set. That's it. But it can happen with grace and ease. It really can. When you change your mindset, when you understand the process of sales and what's really going on, everything will change. Let me ask you a question. What sales is for you either logic or emotion? Think of a percentage in your mind. What percentage, when you're going to buy something, a car, a house, groceries, how much of it is logic and how much of it is emotion? Most of it's emotion for you. Who's logic? You're logical. Okay, good. Anybody else logic?
A little.
A little bit logic, yeah. Some of us logic our way into it. Some of us logic our way out of it. But for the logical people, I'm here to tell you it's actually emotion. The reason you use the logic is to make yourself feel better, feel good. That's right. It's 100% emotion at the time of purchase. Have you ever had somebody that you talked to and they were all in and they're like, oh, this is the big one. You know, they're in, they're excited. Oh, here we go. And they say to you something like, yeah, contact me tomorrow and we'll do this. And then you contact them tomorrow and they've gone witness protection. Because you felt it, right? And you're like, what, did you block me? Yeah, you're going to have to skip trace them, right? Yeah. That's because of emotion. They hit what's called the terror barrier. Has anybody ever heard of the terror barrier? Okay. So, in sales, here's what's going on. You're talking to them, they're believing, they're feeling, they're starting to get emotionally involved in this. They realize that you're not selling them a bottle of something. You're not selling them a bottle of valor. You're selling them hope. You're selling them a new way of thinking. You're selling them a bottle of empowerment. And they start believing, hey, maybe things could be different. Maybe my baby wouldn't have to be crying all night. Maybe I could do what she does, and I could start earning a little bit of extra money too. Maybe I could do this. Right? So here's the way. Maybe I could do this. Then what happens is in the back of their mind, all HE hockey sticks is breaking loose. Because all of those lies that they have believed their whole life, everything somebody's spoken over them, everything they've ever been told by the lab coats, everything they've ever been told by their mother is coming out. And it's doing this. What, are you crazy? Nobody actually makes money at those things. She's just probably trying to take advantage of you. Have you lost your mind? Do you know what's going to happen when you get home and your husband realizes that you spent $165 on that? Do you know how bad it's going to be? What if the water heater goes out? That's what's going on back there, right? And so they're doing this. I'm in. Let's do it tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. And then they walk away from you and they say, oh, phew, I am so glad I didn't do that. Man, she almost had me. She had me believing that. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just not going to answer when she messages me. It's called the terror barrier. And that's why you have a flip hit on you. That's why you do it now as much as they're willing to do it. That's why you pull out your phone. When they say some buying signal like I need, I like, I want, you say, well, let's just do it. And sometimes they will believe this way long enough to get over the terror barrier, and then they change their lives, right? Okay. So let's talk about ask aggressive. It's really easy. Who has had a life-changing experience with a Young Living product?
I think hands up, everybody.
Right? Hands up. Yeah. Who has seen somebody else have a life-changing experience with a Young Living product? Right? And so we hear, well, tell your story. Well, yes. But have you ever verbal vomited on somebody and you could just see them going? Could you, like mentally, you're watching, they're backing up and you're thinking, oh, I just did it, didn't I? So yes, tell your story. But what story? When? How do you know? How can you meet them exactly where they are? Well, that's an art, friends. And a science. Ask aggressive is where it's at. So tell aggressive versus ask aggressive. Tell aggressive is when I just start in and I'm telling you everything. Like, if I were to say, well, this is a really beautiful area here. I'm telling you what I'm thinking, right? But if I ask aggressive, I ask you what you're thinking. What do you think about how they laid this out? Why do I ask aggressive?
To have them involved and tell you.
I'm looking for a response, yes? What
To
else?
have them tell you what they want.
Then I learn what
they need.
they're thinking. Yes, what else? Somebody read my book. Because he who asks the questions controls the conversation. You get to pick what we talk about. Do you see that you can get every single person eventually, given enough time, all roads lead to Young Living, don't they? It doesn't matter if something's wrong with them, if they don't have enough money, if there's relationship problems, it doesn't matter what it is. All roads lead to Young Living. So your goal is to get on the right road, right? So ask aggressive. The other thing is, yes, I want to know what they're thinking, but here's the, I call it passive aggressive. I don't care what you say. Sometimes they need to hear themselves say it, right? So if you can figure out what their objection is going to be, and then you ask a question about it, you force them to think through all of the things. Like when they say, well, Young Living oils are no different than any other oils I've seen. They're no different than the Walmart oils. I don't know why they cost so much. You could, so here they are with their opinion. You could tell aggressive that. You could say, have you lost your mind? You have no idea what those Young Living oils would be. And you haven't participated in Harvest. And you could see the seed, and you could sourcing science and standards, and you could just boom, 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 right up against them. Do they like you though? No. People buy from people that they like. So they're not gonna buy anything from you. You might win the argument, but you're gonna lose that war. But you could ask aggressive that situation. You could say something like, well, that's really interesting. What kind of testing do you think that they do on those oils in the lab? I'm just curious. You give them that way. And you drop it, and you walk away. Like, drop it, and you walk away. Yeah. That's how you do credibility, too. You drop it. Oh, yeah, that is really hard. That's really hard. My son used to struggle with that same thing until we healed him. So tell me more about you. Boom, right back to them. Now what do they want? They want information. But how does it feel if I say, oh, yes, I'm glad that you said that because we experienced the same thing, but we pulled out these essential oils and we oiled him up and now he's fine. How does that feel? And that's like, so it doesn't feel really good, does it? The best case scenario is you've got people begging to know what you know. And you can ask aggressive that too. Do you really want to know? Well, yeah, really. No, I mean, really. I mean, if it's a big thing, not the little thing. All right, again, we're looking at the bell curve. So, where does this lead me? How do I do this? If you find out where they are, and that's the story that you tell. Right? Because if you're going off talking about how it's such a blessing to have an extra $500 in your life, so that if the car breaks down, you're not worried. But they don't care about that, and what they're really trying to figure out is how to get their kid to sleep, then it doesn't meet up. You've got to meet that up, right? All right. Then what's the next step? You got to close them. And I think that's the piece that is most missing. I think that we're not closing. I think we're sharing, we're telling our stories, we're connecting with people, we're bonding, we're this, but we're not asking for the sale. If you just know one close in your life, I want you to memorize this close. Let me tell you a story about it though. So who's heard this story? Bob. Bob? You probably read it. Yeah, Bob. Okay. So back when I was a trainer and a consultant, I walked into a 500-person call center in Tennessee. It was for Thompson Consumer Electronics. And they were answering questions about how to program a VCR. It was that long ago, and I am that old. And so we ran everybody through the training. And then I said, well, let's see how they're doing it. I got on the calls, and I started listening to all the calls. And do you know what? A lot of people were not using the stuff. They weren't closing. Do you know why? They didn't want to be that person. Can you believe it? What goes around? It just keeps cycling, doesn't it? They didn't want to be that person. But one guy, and his name was Bob. Bob was selling 80% of the things that we were helping them sell. What were we helping them sell? Service agreements. So people would call up and say, I can't program my VCR. And the answer was, sure, I'd be happy to help you with that. And before we go, here's an option to buy a service agreement. Right? So I said, well, I got to see what Bob is doing. You know, what magical clothes is Bob using? And here it was. And Bob didn't have most of his teeth. So you got to picture Bob on the call. Okay? So people would call up and say, I need to program my VCR. And Bob would say, sure, let me help you with that. And he would do it. And then at the end, he would say, so, have you ever heard of a service agreement where anything ever happens to that unit, we'll fix it at no cost to you? People say, yeah. He would say, want one? Want one? Really? Want one? Yeah, that was his amazing clothes. He was like 80% of the sales, Bob, on his want one. What's our version of want one? Want some? Like you're sitting at the, I don't know, the park or whatever, and you anoint with valor, and somebody says, oh, what's that? Well, here, try some. Oh, that smells amazing. It sure does. Want some? Yeah, it really can be that simple. In the book, I have a whole bunch of other closings, but I want to demystify this for you. There are people out there waiting for you, your voice, not my voice, because believe it or not, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. It's okay. They need you, and you, and you, and you. And so, it's up to you to be willing, I'm buzzing again, it's up to you to be willing to learn the skills and then do the piece. And I have an hour. I could answer all the questions. I mean, I could dig in and teach you all kinds of things, but I'd rather know if there's anything that you all would like to know. Yes?
Lots of questions. I'll just give you one. So, when you started building, I know it was because of the experience that we talked about. So did you do most of your stuff one-on-one? You did a multitude of things, right? Can you just talk about one-on-ones, phone calls? Like, you're very outgoing, so for someone who's a little bit more of an introvert, how do they approach that without feeling like...
I'm so glad you asked. I keep trying to get close to you guys because, like, I like you, but it keeps letting me know that I need to stand back here. And it's a really good question. It's a myth that introverts don't do people. have a son who's the biggest introvert I've ever met. And he needs a lot of alone time to recharge. But when he comes out, he's Mr. Party Man. He's a blue. He's an introverted blue yellow. Right? So he really does people very, very well. He just needs to do it in short spurts. So introverts can really do people well. And I'll tell you another tip. If you will work vendor events, then I love vendor events. It's a rush. It's like, ooh, ching, another one. Oh yeah, because all these people are just changing their lives, and it's a rush when somebody finally gets it, isn't it? So the reason introverts tend to like vendor events is because somebody's walking up to them, and they don't feel like they're being icky, and they don't feel like they're being that person. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I'm not running around and grabbing people off the street and throwing them on the ground and gotta join my oily Amway mafia. I'm not doing that. But when I'm out, I'm walking like a kind of a person that somebody might just want to get to know. And I have a smile on my face, and I'm making eye contact. When I teach my team about vendor events, I say, you make eye contact with everybody. They may not be looking at you, but if they turn and look at you, they're yours, because they'll approach. So you make eye contact with people. Does everybody out there want to play? No. Do some of them want to play? Yeah, they really do. Has anybody ever read the Chronicles of Narnia? Do you remember when the Narnians were walking in Tashbaan, whatever, and the Tashbaan people were kind of mean and nasty looking, and the Narnians looked so different because they were walking with their shoulders back and they were swinging their arms, and they were, here's the phrase, happy to be friends with anybody who wanted to be friends. When you walk like a Narnian, people will tell you things. My husband will say to me, did that woman just open up about her hysterectomy and her marriage problems and her this and this and that? Yeah. How do you do that? I ask questions. Let me give you some questions to ask. So the first thing you want to do is an icebreaker. Suppose you're sitting at the soccer tournament and your son happens to be the goalie and somebody scores a goal. You just turn to the person next to you and you say, was that your rock star just scored a goal on my kid? And it doesn't matter what the answer is. You just broke the ice. And they, no, that's not my kid. My kid's over there. Oh, wow. He's a tall one. Yeah, he's always been good for his age and blah, blah, blah. You people will just start talking. And then you're getting to know them. Here's the process. You get around the people, you find the needs, you fill the needs, you close the deal. That's it. Get around the people, find the needs, fill the needs, close the deal. Do you always do the whole thing on the bell curve in one setting? No. But you keep nudging them. Sometimes the only thing you're selling is let's be friends. Hey, you're fun. You got 6 kids, I got 6 kids. We should be friends. Exchange information, boom. And then they're on your list. Are they going to get oils eventually? Oh yeah. Especially if they get in your house. If they get in your house, are they safe? They're in your lair, right? Like, come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. If they're in my house, it's all over. Because they see all of the things. And they start asking all of the questions. So, anyway, so you break the ice. And then you ask questions. Ford is one of my favorites. That's family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. I also like this technique, which is where you just repeat the last 3 words somebody said. Really, how does that work? So I was talking with Bethany Shipley, and she said, how does that work? And I said, what are you passionate about? And she said, well, I've got kids. And I said, you've got kids? She said, whoa. You see how you can see people's soul if you do this way? Yeah. The Uber driver. Let me take you back to that. So here's what a lot of people that didn't enroll him were doing at convention. You get in the car. I didn't even teach you this concept. The concept of a conversation is like throwing a ball. If you're talking, you're catching the ball. If you're asking a question, you're throwing the ball. Okay? So it's back and forth, right? You always got to say something and then ask the question. Say something and ask the question. So you get in the Uber car and the Uber driver says, so, are you in town for convention? And a lot of Young Living reps are going to do this. I am in town for convention. You know, it's been 3 years, and this is really an amazing city. It's so pretty here, and you know, we're the original company. We got the sourcing size and standards, we got the seed to seal, and we got non-compliant, non-compliant, non-compliant. Here's my business card. Poor forlorn Uber driver. New stack of business cards back there. And we think he's going to call us back. How many times does it happen?
0.
But what if I get in the car and he says, are you in town for convention? And I say, I am in town for convention. How long have you lived here? So boom, right back at him. Oh, wow, you're new. What brought you here? Oh, you have family. Why do you drive for Uber? You know, not everybody drives for Uber. People have a reason for it. What's your reason? What are your dreams? What do you want? What do you really want? Do you see how I'm going to walk that person right into the place where he or she realizes that what they need is what I've got? I want you to, if you take notes, write this one down. You don't need them. They need you. Every single one of you. They need you. You need to walk in that power. Do some power posing. Whatever it is. And that doesn't even, you don't have to know everything for people to need what you've got. In fact, sometimes it works better if you don't. I don't know anything about that, but I'll let you figure it out. So anyway, all that from that great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
More?
So, would you say you mastered in deciding somebody to take a look at the opportunity
You don't know that. You're learning.
and I'm looking for improvement.
I'm good. I am currently looking for ways to master that invite. Do you mean the product or the business? The business, okay. So I am not yet a Royal Crown Diamond. I am a Royal Crown Diamond. It is not yet manifested. So part of me wants to defer to those who are about that business thing, but I'll tell you my opinion. People ask me all the time, Lori, do you lead with the business or do you lead with the product? And I'm saying, wrong question. You lead with the relationship. Because when you find the need, then you can fill the need. You know, we are...
I'm her pretty
Would you like to know who I learned that from?
Yay!
When I was a senior, and I'm not going to get all choked up, but when I was a senior star, I went to go listen to Marcella Von Harding, and she spoke, and I wore a yellow dress, and I sat front row center, and I listened to everything she said, and I wrote it all down. And I took copious notes, and I did it. I did what she said. And I learned this one from her. And I remember you saying that Gary didn't like it when you said this. But you would tell him, Gary, this isn't even about the oils, this is about the relationship. And I wrote that down. So you lead with a relationship. Why? You're finding the need. And when the need is there, it's no trick. It's no trick to fill the need. So sometimes they don't even know that the need is there. But sometimes people, when I say need, I don't mean they have to be dirt poor. I mean they could need community. They could need a passion to believe in. They could need to step out of their spouse's shadow and build something that's only theirs. There are a lot of reasons why people do young living. Okay? So we've got to find the need. We are wellness, purpose, and abundance. In my experience, it's often in that order, but not always. So how many of us said we would never do the business? How many of us got in doing the business because we couldn't help ourselves, because we just kept, right? So when somebody calls you and says, I just have to tell you that I've turned into the peppermint person. Like everybody in my office comes to me for the peppermint. I'm peppermint Patty now. And you say that's an amazing testimony. Do you have something on Tuesday night? Would you be willing to share that? So what have you just done? You've just nudged them. Right? If this is, I hate essential oils and anything natural, and this is, I'm a Royal Crown Diamond, what's your job? No. That's my perspective. Thank you for asking. It's a great question. There's a ledge here, so I'm just, maybe I should just, again, stand in one place and wiggle, wiggle. Thank you for asking. And yes, Jessica. The next up, yes. So what you're selling is just that much. You're selling the next level of awareness. So if somebody's over here and they hate natural products, you might just ask aggressively, hey, have you ever seen the movie Sting? See, you may have to watch it. I've had people watch Sting and call me up and say, what's the link? If they just love their product, but they don't want to be that person, and they don't ever want to sell, then your next level of awareness that you're selling is sales is service. But how to do that? So just that proof. If they're a mom that's a lot like you, and you're there with your kids, and they're with their kids, just sell Let's Connect and be friends. And if they're a silver that is really feeling like they can't do it, what are you selling? Yes, you can. If I can do this, you can do this. Let's do it together. All the way. Just the next level of awareness. Because what happens, back here, what happens if you try to sell too much? They shut down, right? Somebody's over here, they hate natural products, they believe all the lab coats, and they want everything double-blind placebo tested. And you come at them with, no, what you want to do is be a Royal Crown Diamond with Young Living. Right, so that's really obvious. But what's not as obvious is sometimes we try to take people just a little too far. We're just that much. Yeah.
That were like very interested. They asked for my contact. I give it to them. Okay, I don't know how to make I don't know much about them. I asked all the questions I could in a short amount of time.
Right.
I took lots of notes.
Right.
So I can know everything I can about them. But how do you follow up with somebody after you've given them what they asked for, after you add value to their life by offering them the next level of education, and they're still not answering or engaging or getting back to you? What do you do then?
Yeah. I touch lightly. And I love that you're doing all of those other things. That's really, really very important. Some people are hitting the terror barrier like we talked about. Other people are just busy. They're just busy. Like they don't want to get out of bed and get the credit card. Or have you ever had it happen where you wanted something and your life hit, like life totally hit? So you just circle back and touch base, invite them to something, offer a Zyto scan, offer that amazing thing that you can do with their voice. You learn, continue to add them to whatever it is. Maybe you have a Facebook group they could be in where they get early education. Maybe you just come straight out and say, I don't want to be a bother to you. It seems like we're really connected, and I know you were interested in put their words right back to them. Whatever they said, I remember this. What's really going on? I've even done this. I've even called and said, I'm concerned. Are you okay? Are you okay? Because I know that we were good. And you don't have, I don't care if you buy it. It's okay. I'm concerned. Are you all right? You can also, in any situation, not just vendor events, but other situations where you could go, so just go to their social media and provide content on their stuff. Like and comment on things and love on them. And just be a human again. Just be a person again. Because sometimes we just closed a little too much. We thought they were ready. They thought they were ready. They weren't. If you just circle back, touch lightly. Why? Because you don't need them. They need you. Good question. Okay. Sometimes people are looking for the magical thing, like, oh Lord, what's the one magical clothes that you use 80% of the time because all the people? If it exists, I don't know. Okay. Any other questions? So, not having my phone with me, I don't know what time it is. So, tell me about the book. Okay. In the group. Thank you. She's my PR agent right here. What time is it though? 3:45. Oh, okay, we got plenty of time. So, in the Grow group, I did a master class, and it's still in the Grow group under it's an event. Yep. I am currently taking that master class, and I will be putting it on a website and making that available for everybody. I also started a group, Borre's Enrolling Magic Club, and every Friday I've been showing up and answering questions. I'm not sure what the future looks like. I'll still show up in that group. But it's intended to be a club where we're all together, learning from each other, and helping one another grow. On Friday, I believe I taught everybody how to answer the question, what do you do for a living? Was anybody there? Do you know? Did you do it? Okay, all right. And now that I brought it up, I can go ahead and answer that question. This isn't in the book. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the book that I'm not talking about up here, and there's a whole bunch of stuff up here. So there are two formulas that I really like. One of them is I do this so that. And I teach classes so that people can take charge of their own wellness. I do this so that. And then the second formula I really like is, you know how? And then fill it up with, well, that's what I do. So, you know how we don't want our kids to be around a whole bunch of toxic chemicals? Well, I teach moms how to handle I'm working so diligently on this compliance thing, how to handle everything that might come their way without chemicals. So I teach moms how to keep their houses safe. So I do this so that. Now here's the trick. You want to write down and memorize a whole bunch of them. Why? Because I'm not going to talk to the mom, or I'm not going to talk about moms to the woman who's interested in why I don't look 53. I'm going to talk to them about the other thing, right? I teach women in menopause how to not I think menopause is normal, right?
Yes. I
I teach women in menopause how to stay cool all the time.
That's good.
You know how when you start getting older, you start getting the wrinkles and things, and then you get tired all the time, you're cranky, you're not sleeping well? Well, I teach classes so that people don't have to experience that. Here's another tip, as long as we're talking about this. I carry around a Nature Red bottle everywhere I go with water and Nature Red, the red drink, and I carry that everywhere. You wouldn't believe how many people ask me, what's that? What is the answer to what's that?
Want some?
No. The answer is whatever I perceive their problem to be. This? Oh, this is my 6 kids on a farm renovating 2 houses energy juice right here. If it's a mom that's tired. Oh, this is my, this is my skinny juice. If I'm looking at that, right? But this, oh, this is the I don't need 3 naps a day stuff. This is my, I don't always eat the best food, so it fills in the gaps drink. Whatever it is that you think they need is what that stuff is. And then ask them a question about that. Any other questions?
That was good. I like that. I like all your answers.
Yeah. Oh, this is the blood sugar normal when my kids come home from school hanging juice. That's what this is. All right. Well, it's been a real. Yep. What? Oh, get the book. Yeah. Okay. So the book is over there. It's called The Harvest.
Get the book.
It's a book. It's a really easy read. Who has it? Okay. Is it an easy read?
Yes.
You read it? Yes. Did you learn anything?
I read it on the plane. I read so much I stalked you yesterday. Yes. And I've read a lot of books on Young Living business and how to do it. And I like the fact that you talked, we are selling. It's not sharing, but the close part scares people and you make it really easy.
I make it easy,
Yes.
she said.
Easy.
Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you for coming. And thank you for asking questions. And I will absolutely sign books if you got them here or if you brought them with you. I'm happy to sign them. No other questions? Yep, buy a book here and then bring it to me and I will sign it. And I'm just really honored you all showed up. Thank you. Yes? Okay. She's my PR person. We would love to hear testimonies and I'm gonna take this off. And I'm gonna sit down. And I would love to hear testimonies. Anybody?
I'm a couple chapters into the book. Say nothing. I'm just a couple chapters into the book, but I've been on Lori's Friday calls for like 3 weeks. She does Zoom calls every Friday through that group. It's called Borre's Enrolling Magic. So if you're not in it, get in it. It's so good. Just the asking questions has transformed the way that I talk to people. We've been doing a lot more than ever, and just keeping in mind that it's not about me and I don't need them, and just asking people questions. They always tell you what they need. They always tell you what they want, and then not being afraid to just say, "Do you want it?" Sometimes I still don't, chicken out, whatever. But it has moved me so much further with people, the ability to create a relationship there, and actually move people to that next step. So.
Laurie, you have really at the vendor event, you did what Lori said about asking for yourself and being quiet.
Oh yeah. So your tip on at the vendor event, once you ask for the sale, don't say anything else after that. Just let it sit. Don't be like, because I know you're gonna love it, because it's such a great value, because it's gonna change your horse's life or whatever. Don't say anything. Just say. Whoever speaks, that's right. Whoever speaks first loses. So I was chatting with this girl, kind of showed her the PSK. I was asking her lots of questions, like she talks about in her book and in the coaching group that she's doing. And so I did. I just said, "Do you want to take one home with you today?" And it was so hard not to say anything else. I was just like, "Don't say it. Just be still. Just be still." And she's like, "Yeah, I want to take it home with me." And we boxed it up, and she took it right then. And I know. It's what she said. It literally worked. And then another thing that I loved about her techniques with asking so many questions, like I've done a lot of vendor events. I'm usually a good conversationalist. I can talk to you about anything. But honestly, like her tips, I left a vendor event feeling a lot more like full and whole on the inside because the communication with other people felt a lot more like genuine and
when you do, make sure you have a pen. You're going to be circling, you're going to be highlighting, you're going to be like starring stuff. And so I was doing that. I'm like, this is so good. And I've always wanted to be good at sales. Kidding. I've wanted to be good at sales my whole life. And I just sometimes just stumbled over my words and not know what to say. And I learned from Lori, not about what I say, it's about what I ask. And so I get to learn to know people rather than just, here's all the reasons why you need to buy this. It's like, oh, why do you need this? And then letting that conversation go from there. And listening to those cue words that I didn't know I was supposed to even be listening for. About a week or two after I got back, this guy I was talking to, he was like, so, oils, my office, well, he didn't say oils, he goes, my office has this weird smell. And I'm like, what's he saying to me? It just hit me. I'm like, who wants oils? I'm like, I got my phone, I'm like, let's sign you up. You want oils to get right now? And he's like, yeah. Before I would have verbal vomited a whole bunch of information about all the reasons you should buy oils, he was ready to sign up right away. I just got my phone, signed him up. I'm like, wow, that was like the fastest sale I've ever had. He already knew he wanted it. He was trying to tell me, but I had to listen for it. I like, I need, I want. One of those things. He actually didn't even say those words. He was just trying to tell me he wanted. And then you go for the close. You grab your phone, and you sign him up. You cannot wait. So that's just one of many, many things. But also I would say that don't just read the book. Get in the group. And then even today, as I was listening to it, I'm like, oh, that's something I just thought last that you said. What's that? Oh, this is my drink. Fill in the need of what they want. I get tips from Lori all the time. I don't know. When you're a kid, you're taught things and you're like, what's the answer? And you have to spit out the answer. You're never taught to ask questions, And there's no sales club. This is the sales club. You want to be good at sales? You want to be good at, this is the highest paid profession in the world is sales. And if you want to be good at this, the highest paid profession, you got to learn these skills. These skills are it's very simple, easy to read book, but also get through a free group.
Wow. Thank you. You can stay. You can all stay. Do I have any more time? Okay. So I do want to talk about that elephant in the room, that sales thing. Thank you for bringing that up. How many of you have heard people say, but I don't want to be in sales? How many of you said it? That's all our paradigm is about sales. Let me tell you what, here's the truth, and I'm going to leave you with this thought. You're in sales every moment, every day of your life. If you've ever tried to convince your teenager to do the dishes when it wasn't his day, you're in sales. If you've ever tried to help your mother, who's 92, understand, increase her awareness around the benefits of taking her enzymes every day, you're in sales. If you've ever tried to help one of your friends fix any situation that they have at all, you're in sales. And sales will change everything. It will change your parenting,